What about September 30th? I'm sorry. Oh, okay, September 20th. 20th.
We scored someone from an executive assistant, but I think.
Yeah, we got it. And actually, I think it's in the personnel report tonight. Ellen Needham, she's Bill Furbush's assistant on that. Excellent. So anyway, but yes, he's leaving. That's kind of cool. But I'm happy for him.
Remind me to sign this.
Assign
After we negotiate. This is a little fierce negotiation of the contract.
This has been a very unusual set of circumstances around the negotiation. It's really, you guys force money on me, and I try to give you money back. It's just a.
Yeah, I don't really need this.
Yeah, I didn't really understand.
I'm going to junk mail the SAU now. That's new.
What is it? Oh, somebody.
John's here for public relations.
Official record.
I get it higher. She would tell them we're seeing the school again.
Bill's right here, so I need to speak up and give him the elbow.
Does anyone have any more comments or updates? Step one, I was invited on behalf of the board to go to the teacher welcome back breakfast this morning. Which was great. I got a chance to go there with some returning faces and some new faces and share some excitement with them. Wish them well and give them our appreciation for all that. So we are excited to have Olivia Blackadar here as student representative for her official meeting. Do you have any student rep before we have here?
I did. So I'll start with sports. All sports, all sports, so there's soccer, youth soccer, and soccer, ladies, summer, summer runs. And this week is trial / season. And then for girls soccer, we have the NHGI Jamboree on Saturday, which we do every year. And it's good because we get to play against the soccer competition and higher divisions. And then the Saturday boys soccer level scrimmage at Deerfield. And then boys soccer and girls soccer one game Thursday. That's a way. And then, so Monday we had 15-minute grade orientation, and people from all grades helped volunteer. So we gave tours, we ran the event, and helped us set it up. So the rest of the successful, had a lot of good feedback from that. We also had a mental health workshop the week for open to all our athletes. And we hear from athletes' performance to talk about mental toughness and resilience with them. So like breath work, some confidence things and mindset training. I asked people to share in a live interview here, but we do have a plan as Salt Meadow. We have a plan to like continue talking with them. Every other month we're talking updates about our athletes and how sports are going to get provide any feedback on that aspect. So that's all I got right now.
Great. Thank you very much. I go into the superintendent report.
Actually, I popped in on the 6th and 9th grade orientation day. It was great to see Nick there. And I agree with Marty, particularly 6th graders who never been before. It's a big deal for them to see the space and have some of the big scary kids that are going to be there to help with other thing.
Today was our first day back for staff here in Newmarket, so we had our opening as a staff over at the elementary school this morning. It went very well. Have done a lot of really great training. I'm sure I don't need to remind families, but next Tuesday is the first day that students come back to school. Clearly the parents, it's like that Staples commercial. It's the most wonderful time.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
So anyway, looking forward to welcoming kids back into the buildings. A lot of really good PD going on with our staff here today and tomorrow. And I just want to remind the board, we did kind of reconfigure the calendar this year to create 3 days prior to the start of school. And I cannot tell you how many people came up to me to say thank you. That was great for adding that extra day. Because what it has done for staff is, because we pack a lot of PD into a couple of days, and when you're doing that, if the staff members in the back of their mind are going, okay, as soon as this is done, I got to get to my room, I got to get set up, they're unable to sort of relax, they do feel so much better about the idea that Monday is theirs to be in their classrooms, do what they need to do to set up, to pull information together about students, to do all that stuff. Parents will be involved in a little bit of training on Monday, but for the most part, it's just been very well received. So I thank you for the board for approving that calendar, because I think it's having the desired result. As we head into the start of school, I did want to just do a quick report on staffing. I'm pleased to report we're 100% staffed in all of our professional positions, which is good. We had our last professional hire. In fact, I think she signed a contract earlier today. Yesterday? Yesterday. Yes, thank you. Yesterday. So that's good. We are still, and if anybody out there is listening, we still need 10 paraprofessionals. You know, we actually have, we've been actively interviewing and offering, and so we're, in fact, maybe by the time I finish this meeting, maybe that will have changed. But as of this afternoon, we still had 10 pairs that we needed. One of the things that's happening is there's a certain amount of movement amongst people, moving to different positions and so forth. So anyway, just want to acknowledge that. We also have we're still looking for a Title I math tutor at our elementary school. So if anybody out there, the challenge with that is you have to have a math certification to be able to fulfill that position. And so that's been a harder one to fill. But we'll get there. We'll get those filled. But overall, you know, our staffing levels are good, and we're feeling good about the opening of school. Changing the focus a little bit, you've probably been hearing, it's been in the news a lot. In the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of legislation, bills being signed by the governor that have ramifications on education. So I did want to just quickly mention a couple of them that we are sort of wrestling with what the impact might be locally. There is a law that was expanded the parental notification requirements so that I mean, there's always been a law in place that required for, you know, controversial topics and so forth to be notified, 2 weeks notification, so parents can make the choice to opt out, but they've expanded the list of what fits under that category, including things like anything to do with gender, anything to do with pronouns that are being, you know, all of those kind of topics. And so it is law, and so we're trying to figure out how to best manage that. It does specifically say in the law that if it comes up in the course of a student question, it's okay for a teacher to respond to it, so that's not the issue. It's more, how do we make sure parents have advanced warning so they can make those decisions, so we're working to make sure that happens. So that's one that is a little bit of a concern. You also might have seen in the news the whole issue around transgender athletes in sports. There was a law signed into effect earlier this month that did make it, the way the law is worded is basically sport participation is tied to your gender at birth. So basically only boys can play in boys sports, only girls can play in girls sports, and there's no, you know, but I would point out there are multiple lawsuits against the state on that, and actually two athletes in the state have gotten injunctions, so they're going to be able to participate. As of right now, this has not impacted Newmarket. We haven't had any reason to, but I would just mention to you that there are possibilities out there of how the law could intersect with us, even if we don't actually have a student playing on one of our teams that fit the criterion. For example, if you're playing against another school that has a student athlete that fits the criterion and you choose to participate with them, that could potentially be a problem for your district. So I just want you to know that's out there. I'm going to tell you my way of dealing with it is I'm going to err on the side of doing it right for the kids. So just, you know, might get me in trouble, but I just want you to know that's the case. That's how I will manage it. But know that that's out there. Two laws that went officially into effect that are good examples of the proactive work that Newmarket does. So we're already in compliance before the law went into effect because we knew it was coming and we did it. One ties into sports emergency planning. There's a law that requires AEDs to be available on site and also portable for all athletic competitions, and we have made that something we have had all along. That's included in our emergency plan. So even though the law officially went into effect a couple of weeks ago, have been complying with it for years. And then another law that thankfully we adopted a new literacy curriculum at our elementary school. The law basically requiring our evidence-based literacy programming for K through 5. And so the choice of the new literacy program meets that state requirement. I would point out, had we not done that, we would be not in compliance with that law. So it was a good move on our part. So I just say that. And then just one last thing I wanted to mention. You may have seen on the front page of the paper this morning, I think it was, about a potential strike relating to First Student Bus Company. And obviously, First Student is the bus company that transports Newmarket kids. I had a conversation, I've had multiple conversations, but I followed up with him again today. Ben Henry, who's the regional manager for First Student. The 6 local units that voted to go along with the strike do not include Newmarket. Okay, you might have seen the students from Exeter might be impacted by it, but as of right now, there's at least a verbal agreement that the unit that supports Newmarket is not going to do that, not going to comply. Basically what happened was they took a vote to authorize union leadership to go on strike if negotiations don't proceed the way they want. Basically the agreement is that they're going to start negotiations again on September 10th, and both sides have agreed there's no action going to take place until then. And again, our bus drivers are not covered by the groups that voted to go on strike. That doesn't mean, however, you couldn't have a local union decide to vote and say, we're going to go out in support of our fellow drivers. But as of right now, I don't think it's going to impact the City of Newmarket, but because it's been on the news, I figured it was worth mentioning to everybody. Okay? And that's all I got to say about that.
Great, thank you very, very much.
Yeah, Gary?
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right, Dan.
So, first day of school, SST starts one day earlier, correct?
Yes, it does. And so basically what that means for our kids is they will start on the 27th.
So we'll have the buses here in the morning and,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions or anything for Todd?
Not for Todd, but, oops. Did we close the public hearing? Or did you
Yes,
still-
at 5:17. No,
That-
5:18, excuse me.
And was there committee updates?
I mentioned it, no one had any.
All right, sorry, somehow I missed that.
That's okay, we can backtrack. Do you have any updates you'd
Oh,
like
the
to give?
CIP committee met, the
okay.
school CIP committee met
Yep.
to discuss, and like, we generally agreed we weren't going to put forth any new proposals for this year, that we were going to maintain CIP we had last year, and I know that the larger town, the community CIP is going to be meeting the next couple weeks, so.
Great, thank you very much.
Sorry about that, I missed it.
No, it's actually a great segue because we have a presentation here from Dave Riley about the 24-25 capital improvement plan updates.
Sorry to steal your thunder, Dave.
All right, you're done. No.
So this is the new plan. Again, every year we will be reevaluating the plan. The plan is not written in stone. As priorities change, as needs change, we will make adjustments. We are finding very good news on the estimates given by the company that did this, did the capital assessment. As an example, the windows at the elementary school, the estimate here was $288,000. I got a quote from Granite State Glass at $255,000. So the estimates are pretty accurate. You know, you always have to remember that the oldest part of the school is 100 years old. So you never know when you're going to open a well what you're going to find. So it's nice to estimate a little high just to cover emergencies. I do have our current roofing vendor meeting me here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We're going to do some test cuts in the roofs we're proposing to fix. They are built-up asphalt roofs, which was very popular in the 80s and early 90s. Not done much now. We really need to know what the subsurface is. The other thing, this is a 20 to 30-year opportunity to insulate the roof, so I'd really like to know what's under there and what they'll recommend for adding insulation. The packet also includes what our capital trust funds will be doing. So, it shows that we'll always have a cushion, there's one year where it gets $200,000, and that makes me a little twitchy just because you never know. But, I think we have a good cushion. I think we have a great plan. We also recommend in 2040 we do another evaluation of the whole district just to see. But I'm cranking out RFPs. This is just fantastic. This is making my life. And it's really showing we are protecting the biggest investment this town has made. And we're really, we care.
Great.
Ask you on the pricing here for roofing, for 24-25, the $364,000. Is that stuff we've done that's already planned, or what you were just talking about?
No, it's what I'm just talking about.
Okay.
It's what, this is to happen early next summer.
Okay.
So I'm writing RFPs, I'm getting professional opinions. I know know some things about roofs, but I'm not foolish enough to think I know everything about roofs, so
Yeah.
if I get a question, I'll ask.
Regarding the roofing, so this is sections 3, 4, and 5.
Yes.
Should I presume that 5 is the most number of sections we have?
Oh, no. With all the additions on this building, no, there are many, many different
Okay,
sections.
square foot wise, is this the largest sections?
No.
Section group? No, okay. Not even close, all right.
No. We have a lot of roofs. As part of the renovation, the roofs weren't addressed.
Yeah,
So we have a lot of roofs that are just coming to end of life, and always better to do preventive maintenance than corrective maintenance, because, you know, once they start to leak, you have that much more damage to repair, so we're getting out ahead of it.
So basically, you're addressing the worst sections right now
Yes.
before you move on to next section.
Yes. And as the roofs reach, get towards end of life, we'll address each section as we go, and that's part of this plan. Our current roofing vendor was nice enough to come in and do a full survey of all our roofs and gave us a very comprehensive report of when they were installed, what kind of shape they're in, when they think they'll need to be repaired.
any other questions? No?
If I could just, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to thank Dave, but go ahead.
So just one other comment that I think we had a conversation around in the committee was, there's a section here, future expansion and strategic investments, that has generalities put in there and some like EGs basically, but no IEs. That at some point we're going to want to, as a board, if not budget for, start prioritizing, like, what are the strategic investments we want to make as a community? I know that the master plan survey is still out, that's going to give us some information about what the community's ideas are for strategic investments, but we should at least, I think, documenting, like, our forward thought might make sense in the next maybe year.
Yeah, there's actually, and I'll actually report on it a little bit under public correspondence, but I think one of the things we have to start talking about is ultimately what do we want to do with the shop here at the junior senior high, because we haven't successfully staffed it. And if there is a decision to move in a different direction with the space or do anything with it, obviously so during budget development, I think it would be worthy, we don't have to decide on anything, but it would certainly be good to start building a list of what are the things that we potentially might think we want to do in the next, say, 5 to 10 years.
And we do already have a full inventory of all the equipment in that space, and approximate prices for that equipment. The trick is going to be the vacuum system in there. Very easy to turn a math room into a social studies room. Not so easy to turn a shop into a social studies room. It would make a great maker space, robotics, right? Lots of things where we can continue to use some of the equipment that's in that space. But I don't pretend to know what's best education-wise. I know what's best facilities-wise. So.
So again, I just want to say thank you to Dave, because this has been his project that he's been shepherding through, and I really appreciate the detail you put into your work, Dave, and staying on top of things and keep us in a good position.
I love this thing, I'm telling you, it really is nice. I'm going to collect, throw in a couple of unrelated things. We do have the picnic tables in the courtyard. The 3 picnic tables are there. We're expecting 2 more. These are very heavy. The idea is they're not to be moved. We ordered 2 aluminum picnic tables that will be light, so we can configure the space as needed. And then the granite benches that have been sitting next to the annex building for the last few years have all been placed, glued together. That's thank you to the Net Zero group. Very excited stuff.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
And Olivia, since this is your first meeting, you're welcome to contribute to any subject you want. I don't know if you have any thoughts on roofing in particular, but anything you want to mention at any time, feel free to chime right in, please. All right, next we'll move on to any public correspondence.
Yeah, actually, I have actually received a couple of public correspondence I wanted to mention to people. The first one actually relates to what I was just mentioning about the Teamsters' potential first student strike. We did receive a letter from the Teamsters Union trying to promote the cause. So both Gary and I received it, and we got it electronically, but then we also received it in the mail earlier this week. Yeah, so I just wanted to acknowledge that we received that. And then the second thing, as I mentioned, I have had some email correspondence with a community member asking questions about the future of the shop here at the junior senior high. I'll tell you what I told them, and I hope you guys all already know this. Last year when the position came vacant, when our previous longtime shop teacher left, we advertised for the position extensively, or advertised for it as a full-time position, a part-time position, and, you know, give us what you can give us kind of position, and we got no takers. So as the school began, we had to retool the position. We, because the position, when we had our predecessor, the previous shop teacher, the position was largely 60% art, 40% shop, so it had already shrunk from a full-time position. So we were able to get a 60% art position, which you guys approved last year. And so we do have a 60% art teacher who provides art instruction, particularly in the middle school block and the Unified Arts block. And we also retooled the Unified Arts block to offer a STEM offering, which is kind of an engineering, pre-engineering kind of course. But we do not currently offer a shop program. Obviously, there's big discussions that need to happen over the space, as we've just talked about. So anyway, that's the current status of the program. I would, moving forward, there are not a lot of people who are coming out of college with a traditional wood shop background. That's just not happening anymore. Most people come out with a more of a technology-based background, and they're more tech integration. It's more technology education. So there's a lot of people out there that are looking for jobs to do, you know, robotic types, you know, that kind of thing. Not as many that are interested in, even if they have the credential, that want to teach a traditional wood shop model. So there isn't a lot of people out there. So even if we said we wanted it, it still might be a challenge, and I can't guarantee we can find somebody. So anyway, that's the status of the program. So anyway.
I don't think participation rate was extremely high with students.
Yeah, by the time that we had, when our shop teacher left, we had 7 students at the high school level. So there was one offering that was intended to be offered, which was not able to be offered because we couldn't get a teacher. And then it was a required course in the Unified Arts block that rotated through for middle school age kids. So they had one 45-day session. And then, as I said, that positions had largely morphed into an art position by that time. So yeah, so 7 high school, and the middle school population was who was received by it.
So I mean, it strikes me that we should probably think about what we're going to do in that space sooner than later, particularly as we have equipment there that's not getting any more valuable, and our probability, you know, as less and less schools offer shop. So
Yep.
if we do have interested buyers,
Yeah, and Dave's team, he had his team go through and basically get all the serial numbers and try to give us a breakdown of cost and what would be the value of it if were we to decide to retool. So we have that information. I would recommend that be a conversation during budget development as to what we think.
Was the 60% art position a, like, 1 year or a certain amount of years, or was it?
You mean the position we have created?
Yes.
As it's worked out, we are now in the second year of a different person. So we had one person last year, we have a different person this year in the same role. So you're thinking in terms of long-term, is there an expectation of?
If that's going to stay that position, or if it has potential, given the space could change to be a different position?
Yeah, I think that is the question. Because obviously, if you're going to encourage students to do something, you've got to have something to encourage them to sign up for. So if you don't have an offering, it's not in the course offering, so kids aren't signing up. So it's sort of a little bit of a, so if you're going to do it, you've got to make the plunge, have the staff offer the opportunity, and then try to build it
Are you
over
concerned
time.
with if we hired somebody for a multi-year position and they got rid of the space that
I
offered?
was more thinking, was
What would we
that
do?
something that was
Yeah.
being intended to keep, or was it sort of a short-term solution and looking to go more the STEM, engineering, technology route?
I mean, the art piece is definitely a short-term solution. There's no question. I mean, and the evolution of the position, like I said, had been gradually evolving to be more and more and more art, because that's where our students' interest was. So the question is, if you're going to do something else. What's that something else? And what's the staff you need to have to do that something else?
Yeah, whether
I guess-
robotics or STEM. Go ahead, sorry.
I mean, something I'd be interested in understanding better around this. Uneducated, but it seems to me there's a bit of a gap between, I mean, the two SST programs that will be relevant, automotive technology and building trades, are both kind of siloed around aspects of what you would do in a traditional wood shop type class, but there's, still feels like there's a bit of a gap there for somebody who wanted more general carpentry as opposed to building houses. I don't know, I guess I'm curious, as we advertise for the position, I don't really understand what credentials were we looking for, and are they state specified, or is it something that we brought forward traditionally? It seems like there's value there, to me anyway, in having a program, but not, again, if only 7 students are signing up for it in high school, that says either we didn't structure the program quite right, or the interest just isn't there no matter how we structure it. And
I mean, I happen to have an interest in woodworking, and having a space that's designed to bring in rough lumber and to joint it and plane it and sand it. I mean, that's finished woodworking, furniture building type stuff that I doubt we're, one, find a person for, and 2, you're going to find a ton of interest with kids. Now, if you're talking like light finish carpentry kind of stuff as opposed to framing, which maybe, but I don't see how you would do that really in a wood shop per se. Like, I think Todd and I spoke of something like maybe someone would make one Adirondack chair or something, and you need like a painting booth or a chop saw or something, but you're not going to ever need, I can't picture, and Dave can correct me, but you're probably not going to need for most projects that a student would do the kind of equipment that we have.
it's just much more heavy duty than,
Well, you're not going to bring in a rough piece of oak and then try to square it up by putting it on a jointer and then face it to the side and then rip it on the table saw. Like, you maybe have a table saw, maybe you have, sorry.
This is a side to Gary.
What are you talking about?
who is this man?
Anyway, so.
I hear you, I don't, and you may be absolutely right, I can at least imagine a gap between, somewhere in between, in the open space between the two programs that SST offers that might be of interest to people, and I just understand what that is, and did we spec the job right when we tried to hire, and if we did all of the above and still nobody was interested in either direction, from either direction, that speaks for itself.
Well, the position we were attempting to hire for, it's like, I think the certification is industrial technologies, I believe that's what it is. But they've changed some of the credentialing requirements so that you can have like that credential, so theoretically you could teach that, but your expertise still might be more in computer-based technologies and those kind of things. So we did advertise for what the credential would be that would be required to teach here. I would acknowledge that there was a change in credentialing prospects that, in fact, just recently, that would allow even schools that do not have career technical centers to hire people from the trades with the idea that they would pursue an alternative pathway to some credential. So there is a possibility there if we could find the person to do it. I still believe it's, I absolutely see, particularly at the middle school level, a value in having some form of a wood shop type experience factored in. Because in fact, when you talk with people who are in that field, or working with middle school kids, the idea of building things with your hands is a really a valuable thing. It's very concrete. It's a good thing, and it is, like you say, a kind of a bridge to something that comes later. So certainly having at least an elective or two at the high school level that might be something that keeps that kid who is interested in doing the building trades program as a junior interested while they're sort of waiting out their time, because that is having the SST program is great, but it doesn't meet the need for those kids in the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 level. So there's value in it. I think the question is, how many, we will always have the issue, unless something dramatically changes in demographics. We aren't a big school. We just don't have a big enough population to draw upon. And when you look at our program, we have to make value judgments about, okay, where are kids' interests lying? And let's try to tap into that. And right now, because we have fantastic art teachers, we have a lot of kids who want to take art, and they really are into clay and all of those kind of things, and they're not choosing, or they hadn't chosen shop prior. So it made it easier for us to say, well, if there's only 7 kids and we can't get a teacher, it made sense to not do what we did. But long-term, I think we've got to have this conversation, and I think we probably should invite community people to weigh in on it, because there are some, in fact, the person that I heard from is very much a supporter of traditional shop and industrial arts.
That's the right conversation for us, right? Not the right, but I think like I would support that type of conversation as to like where in the program of studies, based on our vision of a graduate, would a shop-like experience make the most sense, right? When
I would think I don't know if shop's the right word, I don't like STEM's the right word, but there's a hands-on sort of aspect
Yep.
program that I think gives kids those experiences to say, oh my gosh, yeah, I would like to go learn how to frame a house or whatever, or I would like to learn how to assemble.
humans learn better when they're doing something, right? Like sitting at a desk, like the way we actually sitting down at a desk and like that's not necessarily the best way everyone learns.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it until Todd was just discussing it, but if something like this is the runway to either auto tech or building trades at SST for kids who are interested in it, then that has value. That's real.
I mean, a robotics program could incorporate a lot of that, like aspects of woodworking, aspects of building, like in a car sort of thing, aspects of
First robotics or something like that. I would say though, to build off of what Todd was saying about like the expanded pathways to credentialing for people within this field, I think we're not the only ones that face like industrial arts, like just finding someone to like staff that, and through a traditional educator prep route is a challenge. So like we've worked to expand the ways people can go from like trades to teaching here in the state. So we might want to consider where we would search for said educator or potential future educator who is somewhere in the field right now.
Well, I'm not going to name a name, but today I was having a conversation with one of our current staff who is not certified in this area but has an interest in the area. So it might actually be a prospect. That actually might be the easiest way to do it, if we can get somebody who's willing to take it on, who we already know and already work with. So anyway.
That was a long correspondence. That is a good one nonetheless. A good one nonetheless.
I hope the people who sent that email feel really hopeful. Because
next up, we have some discussion items. First would be request to waive DJE bidding policy. As I recall, Jana mentioned to us that we'd worked with this group for the windows last year, and I think going out to bid didn't make sense in her opinion, since we have a vendor and we've worked well with them and we trust them and they did a good job that we waived. Is it a good summary?
Yes, and as Dave just reported, the bid came in to $33,000 under what we had anticipated. So the request is to waive this because we have a vendor that is already a trusted vendor that is already been on the project. The only reason why the project didn't get finished was we didn't get the funding, grant funding that we were hoping for to be able to complete the project. And so it's taken us a little longer to finish, and so we're kind of completing a project that we already approved way back when.
And has the windows that exactly match the windows we put in 2 years ago.
There you go. The other waiver bidding is for the health insurance. I am not as well versed in this. I could fumble through it, but Todd, I think you would.
Yes, so the reason we're requesting a waiver on the health insurance is that there was a committee, and Amy served on it, that spent 6 months evaluating our current health plan as well as multiple other health plans. And the report we shared with you recommend basically the results of the plan of the committee's work. Basically, what it came down to was the committee did not recommend in continuing with the current plan, and they were evenly split between 2 plans: the health trust and interlocal trust. This is a subject of collective bargaining, And so if we have to put it out to bid, it would prevent us from being able to enter into agreement on that. And waiving this policy basically is simply acknowledging the good work the committee did to already go through the process of vetting options, and they've really effectively done what would have been a bidding process.
Anyone have any questions on those two waiver requests? All right. Hearing none, we will move right into the unretained fund balance. Would you like to speak to that too, Todd?
Yeah, so basically, this is just
Or unassigned, excuse me.
unassigned, yes, yeah. This is the unassigned fund balance. This is probably a more accurate number than we had. You may recall Janet came to you in June, just before the end of the fiscal year, and gave you an approximation. We've had our audit, so we've gone all through. We're still waiting for the final results of the audit, but we anticipate that this number is a good one. In the course of the audit, they've discovered a couple things that moved in our favor, which was good. So that this is slightly higher than the number. I forget what it was, but it's like $15,000 or $20,000 more, I believe, than what we had anticipated. So this is the number currently. Obviously, more to come as soon as the audit is finished, and then we probably should assume that some number around $470,000 will be returned to the voters, to the taxpayers, if you so choose to do that.
So this is in our action items as well? Like, do we have to take an action today, or are we waiting for some?
No, we do not actually.
Okay.
This is there's still more to come.
Okay.
All right. After that, we have Superintendent's 24-25 goals. He presented us last meeting, I believe. Has anyone had a chance to review them? Do they have any questions? We can certainly have a non-public after to discuss in more detail any things that we'd like to regarding your goals or.
Right. Just to refresh people's memory, when we 2 years ago, we redid the policy on superintendent evaluation, and Dave?
We didn't take an action on the waiving of the bid for windows.
That's going to come at the end. Thank you, sir. No, it's good. But just to remind you, the policy was redone, and we tied my evaluation to the goal-setting process. And so within policy, we established a process by which at least twice a year, we'll have a non-public meeting for you to give me feedback on these. Obviously, in order to have a conversation about progress on the goals, we have to first have goals in front of you. These were given to you for the first time, I think, in July, and have been given to you. So these are my goals as of now, unless you tell me, no, Todd, don't do that.
Anyone have any thoughts around the goals?
And we saw these last meeting, correct? Yeah, they haven't really. I continue to support them.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it mirrors in an appropriate way the goals we set for ourselves. It forwards those, so I'm in favor of it.
And for the record, at Phil's advice, I simply took the draft goals that you were working with, and I utilized those to write my goals, combined with the goals that we also developed as a district, as well as building goals around their growth plans. So it's all tied together, I hope.
Does anyone have any interest in having a non-public this meeting to talk about goals and give Todd any additional direction, or would you like to wait further into the year?
I think we would need a non-public unless we were talking about his performance against the goal, correct?
Well, yeah. Which I think is what I was alluding to more than, probably wasn't explicit about that, but yeah, as Todd pointed out, part of our new policy is to have non-public meetings to discuss how we think he's performing against the goals. Whereas the schools just started feeling it's a little early, but then again, March rolls around very quickly, so.
I personally don't see a need for one tonight.
I think we should set a general cadence of it, though, like quarterly or something. Feels like a good, like, hey, let's have a conversation in non-public about it. I don't know if that seems too frequent, Todd.
Agenda for the year, just so we don't.
I was thinking October, February, sort of twice a year.
Twice a year is fine, like just something, but as a yeah.
Because February, March, you're going to be writing the evaluation, so
Yeah.
You want to have had at least a couple of chances to talk about
Yeah.
that.
All right.
Sound good?
I'm going to ask Patty to remember that right up until September 20th. Nothing. Humbling. Intentionally. All right, as probably all remember last meeting, Todd had said there would be some approvals of policies from the state we needed to approve, and we hadn't received them yet. Now we've received them.
So these, just to refresh your memory, the Department of Justice back in April issued new guidelines for the implementation of Title IX, which were pretty significant changes. But as bureaucracies often work, they were supposed to go into effect on August 1, and I got the final draft version on July 31st. And it was just simply not possible to be able to bring you that for the August 1st meeting. The New Hampshire School Board Association recognizes that, and what they recommend is that districts adopt the 4 policies that we have put in front of you on an emergency basis, so that it brings us into compliance with the law, but that then, sorry guys, but at the next policy meeting, that will be first on our agenda to take a look at in terms of, reviewing them and then making recommendations to make them more Newmarket specific. So these are straight out of the recommended policies of the New Hampshire School Board, and they cover all of the various things regarding discrimination, sexual harassment, investigations, all of those kind of things, and they meet the legal compliance. What we haven't done, I just want to be clear, is we haven't actually what I would call Newmarketized them, to take a look at them in light of how do things work here, who are the people. So this will give us legal compliance until we do that. If we choose not to adopt these, I'm not going to tell you the world's going to come to an end, but if an issue were to come up in the interim before we've had time to adopt our policies, we might get into trouble because we wouldn't have the appropriate stuff in place.
Anyone have any questions on
So we're
that?
basically going to adopt these, then the policy committee is going to go edit them, and then we're going to adopt them again.
There'll be a second
So,
time around.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's the only way to get something in writing that matches the law.
Yep.
And we have a process for emergency approval of policies?
Well, the board has the capacity to waive its policy development process at any time, so by simply taking action on this, you are choosing to waive your
Okay.
policy process.
Todd, in your read of these, is there anything that is of any concern to you? There's like unintended consequences without us with us approving these without any Newmarket specifics?
Erica and I have looked through them. They are very long and convoluted, and I think there's a lot of nuances, and I think it's, for the most part, it has consolidated a lot of the investigation-related stuff. Can I see any smoking guns that I'm immediately worried about? No. I would feel much better had we gone through our process, and we will go through it.
So, let me ask the question a different way. There's a risk to adopting a policy that we have not Newmarketized. There's a risk to not having these policies in place based on the July 31st or August 1st law. Which risk is heavier or greater in your mind?
Yeah, I think not having anything that meets the law
Okay.
is the thing that's going to have the biggest potential negative. I mean, the bottom line is we have to follow the law, whether it's in our policy or not. I think this just protects us a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Great. Any other thoughts around the emergency approval for the policies? All right. Next up, we have superintendent compensation. Todd, do you want me to talk to this?
Or would you like me to talk?
Oh, I'm happy to do it. So, when we negotiated our original contract with Todd, it included a annuity of $6,300, I believe, or $6,500, whatever it was. Todd's been having many fights with Janet because he's refusing to take it so far. And basically, by contract, he had to take it, so he decided he didn't do $6,500. He decided he didn't feel comfortable having something in his compensation that was not similar for other people in the district, and that he would have anything unique like that. So he has asked that we remove the $6,500 annuity from his contract.
Yes, I mean, I
He's a
just.
very hard negotiator, this person.
Motion to hold Todd down and put the money in his pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted, if I could address, one of the things, when I was hired initially, most of the conversation was about the compensation we worked from the compensation package of my predecessor. What I didn't know at the time was that there was a benefit that was being given to the superintendent that was not equally available to other members of the organization. And to me, that's just not fair. And when I realized it, I felt very uncomfortable with it, and that's why Jana and I have been fighting for 2 years.
The only reason.
Well, Jana's really good at her job, so there's lots of reasons we've been fighting, but for good reasons, But, this is not like it's not because I don't like money, I do, so don't take this the wrong, but I would feel much more comfortable at some point in the future when we say, okay, we're going to have an annuity-type package for all administrators or all whatever class of employee we choose to do, and then I would gladly take it, but I just felt it was just not fair. And thank you for the salary you paid.
What was that?
I don't think you should sign that.
Give him the That's
money.
fine if you don't want
I'm
it.
kidding.
We can
I
vote.
appreciate
It's very
that.
honorable.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you.
All right, moving along to donations. We have some CEP donations to acknowledge, including a freshman seminar, just one actually, I believe, but for a freshman seminar grant. So thank you very much to the NCEP for your continued support.
Do you mind if I just say a couple
Please.
words about, this is kind of an exciting new program that's being launched to try to address some of the, what I would call executive functioning type challenges that freshmen have. This is a new course that's being taught by a number of our staff, and the intent is to kind of pull all those things that have not shown up in the curriculum yet and try to coach kids on a lot of things. So this is a really positive thing, and I'm thrilled that NCEP sees the value in it and is supporting it.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone who took the time to request that. Heading along, we will open for the public comments at 6:05. And still shockingly, not seeing any members of the public, we will close the floor at 6:05. And head right into action items. First, I'm going to seek approval for the expenditure of the unattended fund balance that we just had a public meeting for regarding technology.
So I move to expend $25,000 from the School Technology Expendable Trust to offset part of our annual IT equipment replacement cost.
Thank you very much. Motion from Phil. With a second.
Second.
Second from Dan. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And it might be worth, just this is the first time we actually voted, you can vote, it's a non-binding vote, but you're allowed to vote.
I wonder if we should just include her in every vote so she doesn't feel awkward, if that's all right with you.
I know Sean would often, if he didn't feel like he had any knowledge of something, he would choose not to
You
participate
can
in that.
abstain, certainly. Olivia, did you want to vote on that?
I don't really know much about it, so.
You want to abstain? Okay, cool, absolutely.
Give her a meeting to catch up.
Hey, it's been almost an hour. Next up, we did have some complications with technology for the public and non-public August 1st meeting minutes, so they've been updated in our agenda, but people may want to take a look at them and decide if we want to approve them tonight or if we want to spend a little more time on them. The reason we normally do that is we had a pretty in-depth discussion about budget stuff, which I think is pretty important, and it wasn't captured well in the minutes. Well, it wasn't captured at all. I went in and tried to add my recollection the best I could, and I don't want to misrepresent anyone, so I'm going to coach slightly. Go ahead.
Change the minutes.
No, I sent you.
Okay.
I sent you and Todd my recollection of the discussions.
Yeah, also in the version that's in board docs, there are a few lines in here that seem like a conversation between you and Patty about the contents of the minutes?
So it wasn't
We
between
should
us.
probably clean
It
up.
wasn't between us, but I think they've been updated since then.
Okay.
Not that part.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the one that, the link. in
Oh,
the
well, you're
box,
right.
so-
Patty, yeah.
So we should just table the
Yeah,
minutes
that's-
and
We're just
minutes.
gonna- Yeah, I think we should just hold off on those. However, we do have, and I would actually ask everyone to kind of go through it and make sure any discussion in the budget that you just, you recall to the best of your recollection, that we can to clean those up. Actually, I'm not seeing those in here now, so,
Can we approve the non-public minutes then?
yeah, let's do that.
I move to approve the non-public minutes, the August 1st, 2024 school board meeting.
Motion by Phil, second.
Second.
Second by Lonnie. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Do the manifest.
I move that we approve the manifest in the amount of $713,711.18.
So moved.
Motion from Dennis, second from Amy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes.
Dan and Amy.
Seek a motion to approve the updated capital improvement plan for 2024, 2025.
So moved.
Motion by Phil, second by Amy Tilton. Any discussion? Thank you, Dave, as always, for your hard work on that. We appreciate it. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
No, that was the CIP.
Seek a motion to approve policy DJE for bidding requirements for the replacement windows and for the health insurance.
Just to be clear, to waive the policy,
the
right?
policy.
To waive policy, yeah,
Thank you.
sorry if I didn't say that.
I move that we waive policy DJE bidding requirements for the Newmarket Elementary School window replacement.
Do you want to throw health insurance in there at the same time? I was gonna.
And for the health insurance as well.
I knew you wanted to do that, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
A second?
Second.
Second by Amy, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's see. I'm going to skip the fund balance till we have a chance to discuss it further. Seek a motion to approve the revised superintendent contract. I'm not sure why it says 2020, isn't it a multi-year contract?
Well, but it's
The amended
changed.
for
It's-
20.
The contract says it's at least 3%, but every year we have a conversation, so
Yeah,
that, this is
3%.
only the compensation for
current year,
24, 25.
yep.
yeah.
That has a reduction in the.
That's a question.
Yeah, please.
So, there's a salary, I'm sorry, I don't remember that, because the full contract's not in here. Is there a salary schedule? It's like a 3%? Like, I'm trying to remember what the compensation component of it was outside the annuity.
Basically, it was, it has basically a corridor, 3 to 5%, and it would be based on the judgment of the board, usually through the...
And we decide that in March? Or-
Yes, so
Yeah.
March 28th, I believe it was, that it was, when all the administrative contracts were shared, all of the salaries there, and you approved them then,
Okay.
But his contract's July to August.
Right.
Or, yeah.
July to August.
August to
And the
July to
contract
June.
runs through, when does it run through now?
It starts in July, runs through June.
No, but it's not, no,
It's through the school year 26, 27.
that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
26, 27,
So
okay.
this is the
So we could
first-
like readdress the annuity thing at that point in the baseline.
This is the first year of a 3-year contract.
Okay.
Do you have some leverage you're thinking he could hold over his head?
No, I was more like
Making it more
I don't
work.
want to like make promises out here, right? But like, I'm like, so could we move the annuity money into baseline salary or something? Or would that end up violating the terms of the contract in terms of percentage increase?
Oh, I understand.
I would suggest that, given the struggles of budget balancing, that I would
I appreciate.
put that, yeah, but I do appreciate it.
Give this man money.
This is,
My
I have
grandmother
to
trying to get into my
negotiating with you
jab
guys
when I
has
was a
been
kid,
interesting.
shove it in my pocket.
It's been an interesting process, for sure.
All right, I still have a request for a motion for the.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Motion by Phil, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dan. Any discussion? Thank you, as always, for being as upstanding as you are. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, I appreciate your introducing myself.
It's a weird night.
Next time we negotiate, she'll be like, you put that in,
Anything we can do to make you happy. All right. We do have a personnel matter. We have a request for some
Did yours pop up like that?
non-paid time off, as I recall.
Yeah, again, this is one of those things that we gotta negotiate out of the pair contract, but basically, it requires board approval for any unpaid time request, and there's an employee who's requested 2 unpaid days in the fall. So that's really what this is, for you to give me your blessing so that I can allow that employee to not work for pay.
This is so moved.
Second.
Strangest. Yeah. Motion by Phil, second by Lonnie. Any discussion? Hope that person has a nice 2 days off. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seek a motion for, I feel like we should technically waive the policy requiring us to have 2 readings.
Yep.
I don't know what particular policy that is, do you? Do folks want to do that, or are we okay just approving the policies and assuming that we've waived?
How about we word it like this? I move that we approve new policies AC, AC-R, ACA, and ACAC on an emergency basis pending review, and waive the necessary policies in order to do that.
That is perfect, Dan, and I'm going to write that down as a motion. Technically, we don't need to approve the Rs, I believe, but.
Correct.
Do I have a second to Dan's eloquent motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I don't believe we have any non-public items unless anyone does. No? All right, reminder, our next meeting will be back in the cafetorium.
And actually, I think we're here again, aren't we?
Okay.
One more meeting,
Because
It'll be somewhere.
the one more meeting.
well, because there's air conditioning in here, and given that, until we know it's going to be cooler, we don't want to move out into the other space.
2 more meetings.
2 more meetings? 2 more.
September, October, move back to
Okay.
Okay.
the, oh, actually,
With that, seek a oh my goodness, seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Phil. Anyone else like to adjourn? Amy? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I think I heard Olivia, so I'm going to mark you down as well.
Everybody votes to get out of here.
Yeah, right? With that, we are
Fastest
adjourned
meeting in like forever.
6:15 PM.
Awesome.
Never feel awkward about it.
If you do want to learn about asphalt roofing, Dave will bring you